Hi everybody, welcome as you've already been told today. As I said, it's very much a session to discuss unconscious bias. I deliver and have delivered conscious bias for many years, and I'm sure many of you have probably been on the course, various courses on unconscious bias. So let's discuss, what it's about, does it work, how can it be more effective, and the way forward really, what can we do? And I will go through a quick, has anybody here not done unconscious bias training? Okay, few of you. But I thought that might be the case, so I'm going to do a quick whistle-stop tour about what usually is the type of delivery. You can do unconscious bias training, so you do training, don't you, Ronan, as well? You could do conscious bias training for a whole day, a half a day, an hour. It's one of those things that could be as long or short as you like. So I'll be just doing a brief overview of what usually sort of the key issues discussed in that. Okay. So today, it's an opportunity for you to challenge, ask any questions, for us to really have a good time about how, what is the way forward? Because we hear so many stories, don't we, where bias is still, still happening. And in fact, in some areas, it seems to be actually getting worse. Starbucks, and I've got this in the slide, all these sort of things where, people are being challenged, race is back on the agenda really highly because there's so much racial bias in society, there's so much bias towards so many different communities, and so, what is going wrong? What do people need to do? I mean, I personally feel, and I will discuss this more in depth, that bias training is really useful, but it's not as a standalone, which we'll talk about later. That is my view. And I'm not going to say my view is the best view. You can challenge and go, no, Tash, that's a load of rubbish. This is what I think. But this is what today is about, just to look at the issues. And you never know, we might come out with something that we think, actually, we've come out with a really good solution here. We can actually then drive it forward and, discuss it with other people more widely. So you just go around and just tell us about, one, why you came, and sort of what's your experience of doing unconscious bias training.
Okay, so I'm Gabriella Craft. I'm from an organisation called Equality, and so we work in education settings, delivering training to educators and young people. In my role, I work almost exclusively with young people.
Yeah.
So obviously it's getting them to think critically about a range of different equality issues, but as a result also work with lots of teachers who are probably less informed than they young people, unfortunately.
It's so true. Yeah. And what's your experiences? Have you gone into schools and done any training on bias with teachers?
I personally haven't.
Yeah.
A lot of my other colleagues do quite a lot of it, so Sarah and Kate.
Yeah.
Who do a lot of that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting.
Yes.
It's very interesting.
Because you would think that, and I find that, I've got a lot of friends and family who are teachers, and when you say that, talk to them about training, have you done bias training? No. And diversity and inclusion is not often that much highly on their agenda, even if they've got a school that is completely diverse. I was talking to a deputy head recently, 86% BME, and they hadn't done any training. And you're thinking, what? How can that be when it's around you, so you're around different cultures and different environments, and you're working with parents and
It's very superficial.
Yeah. But it's really surprising amount of teachers when I said, I'm going to do consultants, and they're like, what do you do about diversity? And I honestly say, most of them looked me blankly in the face and said, I haven't really got into it that much, and we just deal with it as it comes. And I find that really, really surprising, and hence why we hear so many stories of youth, particularly having so much bias against them. It doesn't really help if there's not much education and the teachers doing what they should be doing.
There's not a whole school approach.
Exactly. Interesting. Yes, I've heard all about equality. It's lovely. Roland?
I run my own consultancy business called Illuminate. I specialise in disability, diversity, awareness, and so on and so forth. Do lots of unconscious bias training, and I spent many years as diversity officer working for the Foreign and Commonwealth Office, and I was appalled last week to see that yet again, civil service fast stream, there are no BME candidates in civil service fast stream intake this year. But part of it, I think, and we can discuss this later, is a circular argument that people self-stigmatise because they don't want to be the only person standing out amongst a sea of people different to them. And until somebody feels sufficiently supported to be able to stand up and say, I am who I am, there's a song there, and it's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's a whole cultural thing, isn't it? The whole aspect, because like you say, if, in the civil service. It's not uncommon in lots of sectors. I facilitated a session recently about the lack of BAME progression in the third sector, in the voluntary sector, and it's the same in all sectors. I've done it in the private sector. It's still an issue, isn't it, in terms of diversity generally, people not given the opportunity to rise through the ranks to
Sorry,
well,
it's particularly appalling in the civil service, because the civil service is meant to represent the community as a whole.
Yeah.
So it doesn't.
Exactly, and like I say, people don't also want to be the poster person, do they? Just because you're the only black person that's got to senior management, do you want to be this mouthpiece? Do you want to get wheeled out when the photos come? But that happens a lot, doesn't it? People get wheeled out, whatever sort of protected characteristic. If you're that first, you're often the one that comes out, aren't you? Ta-da! We've got one! You know, isn't it though, literally?
And sadly, because that did happen in the Foreign Office when I was there, we
Yeah.
had one, I think, Indian chap who
Yeah.
progressed to board level
Yeah.
and sort of overnight became white.
Is that? Oh, really?
Yeah. If you
What, in the
listen
picture?
to him,
Oh, the way he.
the way he spoke, the way he
Oh,
behaved,
he
sort
felt
of
he had to
morphed
fit in type of
into-
thing.
Yeah. 'Cause he had to-
Interesting.
in order to get his voice heard around the board table,
Right.
he had to emulate the
Yeah.
other people who were already there, and that's so self-defeating in a way.
Isn't it?
Same with the woman that was appointed.
Yeah.
She became a man overnight.
Yeah, they're very
not
alpha male.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Denise Rabor, IEDP chair, passionate about, again, those words, passionate about diversity and inclusion and equality in all spheres. One of my core offerings is running a social care business, mental health, and we see, obviously you can imagine a lot of bias, conscious as well as unconscious, towards our service users. I've also had a career in fashion and beauty, and again we're constantly seeing the complete lack of diversity and inclusion in those sectors. And on the other side of things, in terms of business and leadership, we still keep having these cyclical conversations around the lack of representation, I guess, across all characteristics, in terms of the leaders of organisations, who are the managers, who's coming through, and the conversations keep happening, blah, 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 and yet we have the situation that we have with Starbucks, there's a situation with, was it Dove, and the knee-jerk reaction is after the horse is bolted, suddenly everyone's like, you've hired a diversity officer, and we're like, oh, you're multi-million-pound companies. And it's just now, after you've had a major scandal where everybody's slagging you off left, right and centre globally, that you've hired somebody to deal with the issue of diversity and inclusion. So for me, my thing is that it starts with leadership. If the people at the top are not embodying the values that the organisation needs, if the leader, if the man in the, and it tends to be the man in the grey suit, the white man in the grey suit is not standing up and saying, actually, these are the values that I embody, unconscious bias, and if they're not taking the lead with it, then things will not change, because if the organisation has it running through, this is the way we do things around here, then it won't change.
Yeah. And there was that CEO that said there was an article, wasn't there, that white CEOs need to talk about whether it was race or diversity, because as we know, there isn't enough diversity at the top of a lot of organisations. So it's not just about people from different protected categories, everybody needs to be talking about it, like you say. I just remembered a vaguely interesting fact that something like 80% of CEOs in America are over 6 feet tall. Interesting. Yeah, that is interesting. Yeah, interesting.
Probably paid
So again?
They're being paid more.
Yeah, exactly.
So every inch you are over 6 foot, you're not.
Yeah. And has anybody seen that? See, we'll be here till 6, won't we?
No, I'm planning dinner.
Yeah, exactly. Has anybody seen that also that sort of thing called Colour of Power? Where they looked, it was a Green Park, and I can't remember who else. And they did this, look, sort of CEOs from all different sectors, so from, didn't really do that much charity, but private sector, government, the whole thing, and just showed you pictures of all the CEOs from all the different, there was hundreds on there, and you just see a sea of white male faces and a certain age, Probably height, if we saw the height.
As I say to the Foreign Office Board, pale, male, straight and stale.
Yeah.
I didn't have a very good career there.
Yeah, is that it? Did it all go down over there, Roland? Or... and I mean, we're joking, but it's about speaking out, isn't it? And having a culture of being able to speak out, isn't it? Not just, it shouldn't affect you.
Sorry to but the Foreign Office was stale because they all came from the same socio-economic background.
Yes.
They were all private school educated, all Oxbridge.
Yeah.
And groupthink.
Yeah, exactly. And that's another thing that often happens, isn't it? It's the whole socio-economic status when they were talking about the Equality Act initially, it was going to be in there, wasn't it? And then they decided not to when that final decision was made. And it is so important, and it's an issue where I think when we always talk about diversity, we should think about it anyway. It may not be a protected characteristic, but it's something that we need to, consider definitely at all times. Thank you. Thanks, Denise.
Hello.
Hello.
Mervyn, I'm 6'1" and I'm a senior. Not as well paid. I'm actually, I'm perhaps the outsider in the room. I'm like many other clients. I'm the membership professional, so I help to run the institute.
Yeah.
Company secretary of the institute, but I do have a passion for the subject matter within the membership sphere.
Yeah.
Within the membership space, and actually, I'm trying to bring together a group of trade bodies and professional bodies to talk about inclusion and diversity as a subject, and looking to perhaps bring an event together.
Brilliant.
More and more membership groups and sectors are beginning to look at the subject, and it's coming onto more agendas.
Yeah.
I have personal interest, but as I say, I certainly haven't had any training at all, so I'm looking forward to learning a bit more.
Lovely, thank you.
I'm Sophia Brannan. I work at Bucks County Council in the Equality and Diversity team in Children's Services.
And have you done anything on unconscious bias at all?
Vet runs the unconscious bias training. And it's really interesting the amount of people who sit in it and they're like, yeah, but this isn't that. And I was like, but it is. Like, well, I'm not racist because my child has a black doll.
Oh, please.
That's not what it's about. And it's really, like, sometimes it's like...
That's really interesting.
It's frustrating.
Because I've had it where I think all the years I've done it, I've said to somebody, has anybody here not got any biases? And it actually, I think there's only one person who said, no, I don't. I went, I think you have, we'll talk about it later.
People just don't seem to want to talk about that they've got them, but even though it's like, we're here to talk about the ones that we have.
Yeah, because we all, that's something we all need to identify. We all have them. We all have them. End of story. You know what I mean? Let's talk about how we're going to overcome it and deal with it. Not just, I have to, not me,
I've got a black doll.
Exactly.
Okay, great.
I've got what I mean? I'm not racist, I've got some black friends, Yvette, talk to us.
So I'm Yvette Thomas and I'm Head of Equalities for Children's Services at Bucks County Council.
Yeah.
And I spend a lot of my time delivering training to education and social work professionals, but I also commission Equality to deliver training on my behalf to schools across the county because I'm only one person.
Of course,
And I also commission Show Racism Where I Can't, do anti-discrimination workshops with 1,000 kids a year, I think we manage.
Yeah.
So I think in Bucks there is an understanding that there is still a need for my role because I feel quite privileged that many of my peers no longer have roles in local authorities like me. So that's really good. But on the other hand, I think maybe we felt because if we'd mainstreamed it and everybody took it on board, there wouldn't be a need for an equalities lead. And I think that's always been, those of us in the profession have felt that our jobs would be done when it was mainstream. That was the reason we were put in there, to mainstream equality, so it became everybody's responsibility, but it's still mine. So still a way to go, but we do a lot of training and as well as lots of other things.
Because I personally feel, even if you are embedding it and even if you're mainstreaming it, I personally feel you still need somebody to drive it. Because when I've worked in diversity and I was at victim support, I still am sort of helping out, but I was there for 8 years as head of diversity. And there was a short period I wasn't here, and I can say, much as I love victim support and you will speak and how you feel it's quite positive, people, they don't do it. Even though, a lot of things were embedded, some things were carrying on, they were embedded in a lot of the process, and I couldn't say, that nothing was done. But I think, unless there's somebody driving it and somebody carrying on, because diversity is never done. You know, there's always something to do. There's always something to address, a community, and you know, new emerging communities, things that change within lots of different, you know, communities. So I think we're always going to need someone. Ideally, yes, everybody needs to realise it's everybody's responsibility, yeah. But I would always endorse, and I think those that have got somebody driving it, they're more effective. That's what I've found. And that's the same with the bias issue, that, you know, yes, that's a part of it, but that's not the be all and end all of it, you know?
And I think that there's also something about being stuck and seen as the person.
Yeah, yeah.
And I find that's the hardest bit about my role, is that
Yeah.
either you're seen as the person, so everything comes on your doorstep,
Yeah.
on your desk.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what it's about, as long as it's got anything that
Yes.
looks like it's about roughly
Yeah,
the
yeah.
topic, that, oh, that's Yvette,
Yeah.
give that to Yvette.
Well, that shouldn't happen. I
So
get that,
that's
yeah.
a little bit, you know,
Yeah.
whereas mainstreaming for me is where the senior management take it on board.
Exactly,
It's
yeah.
embedded in all our meetings, it's embedded
Exactly.
in our, you know, equality impact assessments, everything's
Yeah.
up and running. So the systems are there,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but nobody wants to lead
Take
on
ownership of
They
it,
don't
sort
want
of
to take
thing.
ownership
Yeah.
of it because Yvette's
Yeah, she's here. You're here to do it. Yeah, I understand that.
So that's the thing that's frustrating
Yeah.
sometimes.
No, I understand. That happens a lot, doesn't it?
And
Yeah.
then schools don't want to do the training because it's not a priority. As
Yes.
soon as the proverbial hits,
They'll straight in there.
oh, I'm the best person since sliced bread.
Yeah.
You know, they need me,
Yeah,
and when they need me, that's fine. But when they feel they don't need me,
yeah,
and I think that's the bit that I can't get them to
yeah.
actually understand, that if you did this and made it a part of your school life, then you wouldn't
Exactly.
need me as often, and you could actually do it yourself. You should be doing it yourself.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Hiya.
Hi, I'm Jasmine. I run a training and advisory consultancy, and I focus on employee engagement and unconscious bias.
Brilliant.
So I do a bit of training, or quite a bit of training around unconscious bias, but I work mostly in the private sector.
Okay.
So I might be able to bring a slightly different.
And that's a different dynamic as well in the private sector, isn't
really
it?
different, yeah. Though I do a lot of work in housing associations
Yeah.
too, for some reason. So
So what do you think the difference is in delivering training in those two different sectors? What have you found?
So what I've found is that, for example, in housing, it feels like there's a real drive to do it, but it's mandatory.
Yeah.
And so everybody hates me when I walk in.
Right, okay.
Because it's mandatory and
Right.
they feel forced to. Whereas in the corporate world, it's much more like feel good.
Yeah. Okay.
And they're not forced to do it. So less people turn up,
Yeah.
but the people who do turn up are more engaged.
Yeah.
If you're going to make it mandatory, you have to sell it correctly so
Yeah.
that people understand that it's not going, you're a bad person, that's why you do this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So if you can find a way to put it to people that actually, this is something nice that your organization is doing for you, so that
Yeah.
they come, then mandatory is okay.
Yeah. What do the people think about mandatory?
We have, so I've managed to convince my business unit that it's mandatory.
Yeah.
So social workers have to do it.
Yeah.
They have to do 2 days with me,
Yeah.
and the rest of education tends to do it as and when, as
Yeah.
a sort of bespoke. So for example, last week I did the special educational needs team,
Yeah.
and I'm doing another session with them, sort of two 2-hour sessions, so that's bespoke for them.
Yeah.
But whatever, whether they want to do it or whether they're forced to do it, I have to spend that first 10-15 minutes convincing them that, you know, that they're there to, it's a safe space.
Yeah.
And they'll learn,
There's an enjoy, it's about enjoying it as well as about learning from each other. So
Yeah.
yes, you have to kind of sort of soothe and balm the soul, as it were,
Yeah.
before you start the training. But I believe it should be mandatory because it's the only way you will get them in the room,
Yeah.
on 9 times out of 10. So I do believe for public bodies anyway, it should be
It
mandatory.
should
Yeah.
be mandatory for
I
everybody,
think as
honestly.
well, if there's a choice, sometimes the people that choose to come are the ones that don't need it.
Exactly. I was just about to say that.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because I had an argument years ago with head of learning development saying it shouldn't be mandatory, and I was that same argument. Yes, but the ones who don't want to come, they're not going to come because they're going to avoid it like the plague if they think it's something they can get away with. you've got to make it, and like you say, it's the whole how you deliver it, and I think that's the whole part of it as well. It's how it's delivered. If people, like you say, in a safe space, it's not about targeting people, it's not about telling somebody you're wrong, it's about, we all come from different paths, different backgrounds, experience, and, you know, skills and the rest of it. So at the end of the day, as long as you set out the scene, set out the safe learning space, you know, I've never had a bad experience in delivering where people have gone on, you know, it's always been a positive experience, but it's how you deliver it.
Yeah. I think it should be mandatory. I think as we're in a place in society where it has to be mandatory.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've never really been crazy about things that are, you know, mandatory and
Yeah.
sort of, but actually I think the way things are going and the things that we're seeing and the scale of the organisations who are messing it up majorly, you kind of need it to be mandatory. But I actually also think that at the stage, if organisations and companies are serious about diversity and inclusion and everything that it encompasses, then it kind of needs to be part of the vision statement. It needs to be part of the mission statement. You know, so you know that if you're going to go and work at this company, they're sort of telling you from the outset, you'll be doing this, you'll be doing that. We are totally engaged with stamping out bias and exclusion and all this, so that people know at the outset, this is it. If I go to work here, or here, this is what I'm looking for. Because I think ultimately, the generation that's coming up now are going to start to expect, you know, the society is so diverse now.
Yeah.
You know, kids' friends are friends, people have friendships with lots of different cultures.
Yeah.
So they're not going to feel happy if their friends are being excluded or being treated differently. So they're going to expect to go to an organisation where it's kind of the norm.
Yeah.
You know, so I think organisations have a lot of work to do.
And you don't realise until you go out with people who go out and delivering. Every time I go out and deliver any sort of diversity inclusion training, I'm really surprised when some people have done nothing at all. And I'm like, you know, and they're often, like, it could be like public sector or it could be whatever. You think, wow. You know, private sector, you think, well, it still needs to be done, but there's probably less onus on them from if you think historically. You think, oh my gosh, I'm so surprised by people. Yes, Ron?
I deliver a lot of training for the county council in which I live.
Yeah.
And I deliver what they now call wellbeing and inclusion training.
Yeah.
It used to be diversity and equality, but they changed it to
Yeah.
It's meant to sell it more because, you know, we start go around the room and ask people why they're there, and it's because I've been told I have. But don't you want to know about how to maintain your own well-being? And unconscious bias slips into that, unknown to them, sort of slip it in through the back door.
Yeah.
Unconsciously, absolutely.
Lovely.
My name is Joanne Lockwood. I recently founded my own, I call it an inclusion practice rather than diversity practice, focusing on trans awareness, trans inclusion to business organisations. I seem to be targeting recruitment organisations at the moment. Have a reasonably good network of people who invite me to speak at their conferences at the moment. I talk about unconscious bias. I'm pretty much self-taught, which goes against everything I believe in, because I think e-learning is kind of the bane of our lives.
Isn't it?
And I've learnt most of what I know on the internet, so I thought coming here today would be a great opportunity to put my money where my mouth is, if you like, and engage with other professionals.
Yeah.
I do talk about unconscious bias, although when trans people are concerned, generally it's not unconscious, it's generally quite visible.
Yeah.
What Roland said earlier about sometimes we are our worst enemy, internalised transphobia, you believe you're not good enough, you take the book off the shelf when it means to be trans, you could be rejected, you could be hated, you could be laughed at, you could be stigmatised, you're not going to get a job, you're going to go broke, you're going to lose your family. That's what it says in the book.
Yeah.
And of course people believe that, so we've got to rewrite the book and say trans people are welcome, they're just people.
Yeah.
And I see my role as going out there just being visible, being professional, being authentic and being robust to say, come on, if you want to ask me a question, you want to find out more, talk to me.
Yeah.
So not trying to represent anybody, I'm just me.
Yeah.
But I also consider the intersectionality and the fact that every person is a person, everybody has their own person-centric needs. And when I talk mainly about people are people, accepting people. And trans is just one slice of a type of person, which gives me some authenticity to be in the room, if you like.
Yeah.
I do find that on LinkedIn, other mechanisms I use to contact people, I get a good reception.
I'm Drew Wilkins, and I'm a board member of IEDP. The day job consists of being a member of Cambridgeshire Race Equality and Diversity Service. sounds really grand. We work in schools, work with children, with staff, teaching staff. We deliver training on a whole raft of things, from cultural competence, diversity training, prejudice training, to English as an additional language, to a whole set of things. And we think we're pretty good at what we do. All the feedback we get from schools is the same thing. Yeah, we really value what you do, but we're being closed down at the end of the summer term because the schools no longer want to fund us up front, and they're happy to pay for us as they go along. You know, whenever they want, you know, like, Drew, can you come in and do some training? Well, that's based on Drew actually being in the office in the first place, and he can't be in the offices if they're. So we've got a whole team of people who are in the process of essentially working off their notice of redundancy, which irritates us to a certain extent, because the schools who have said they want to pay for us as they use us, they're now phoning us up to see if they can get us for free. And we're saying no, funnily enough. So, yeah. So we do. We've done lots of things. So one of the things, and we established is what we call a PRIDE database, which is prejudice-related incidents data entry. Snappy little. But it's it was a way we asked schools to file a return on every term on the number and nature of any prejudice-related incidents. We've got and have had really good relationships with Show Racism, the Red Card, with Stonewall. I think we're part of the Stonewall Champions group. Delivered training, training and